Hello friends, welcome to this video. Today we are going to study class 8 chapter number 3 rural life and society. In this chapter we will learn how village life changed under British rule, how agriculture, farmers, labor and society structure were impacted by British policies. So let's begin this thoughtful journey. Here are the index of our chapter. It includes the Bengal Famine, British revenue policy, the permanent settlement, Ryotwari and Mahalwari system. Indigo cultivation and the revolt against it, Gandhi Champaran movement, and finally a comparative case study of Punjab and Bengal. With each topic, we will provide interesting fact, visual, and MCQ topics. So, after the British won the Battle of Buxar 1764, Shah Alam II granted the British East India Company Diwani rights over Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. That is the right to collect land revenue from these regions. This turned the company not just into a trader but also a ruler, whose job was now to collect tax and use the money for its own benefit. So now let's talk about the incident and the expose of the cruel side of the British policies. The terrible Bengal famine in 1769, this was a broad and the rainfall failed. Still the British collected 50 to 60% tax from the farmers. People has no food left to eat or sell. Around 10 million people died due to the famine, where revenue failed the British response by the increasing taxes. Just imagine, in the middle of the grief and hunger, the company cared only about profit. So now why did the British need to do so much for the money and the farmers? Because they had to run their entire administration, pay soldiers' salary, fund British officers, prepare for the war, and buy goods for their British companies. Land revenue became their biggest source of the income. Let's now talk about the revenue farming system introduced under Warren Hastings. In this system, the right to collect land revenues was occasioned to the highest bidder for 5 years. The problem was that many bidders quoted high amount of the just to win a occasion without considering if the land cost actually yield that much. When it come time to collect taxes, they force money out of the farmers. Often the cheating, treating, and the cruelty, the result of the neither the farmers benefits nor the agriculture improvement. This system completely failed. So now the permanent settlement in 1793, Lord Cornwallis was introduced that in Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. Under this, Zamindari were made landowners and farmers become more tenanted. So more importantly, the land revenue was fixed permanently, meaning its stay the same every year, whether there was drought and floods. If Zamindar failed to pay revenue by the due date, their land was confiscated. It is if the British were running a money making machine with no concern for the farmer suffering. Now, affect the permanent settlements. This policy mostly hurt common farmers. They always face high pay tax pressures. Even when their crop failed, they received no relief from the Britishers. They took loan from the money lenders and fell into debt. Jamindar also suffer if they could not pay revenue on that time. They lost their lands. So what's the all of that? Neither the Jamindar nor the British tried to improve agriculture. So now next come the Ryotwari settlement introduced by the Thomas Munro in the Madras presidency. This system was different. There were no jamidars. Farmers paid tax directly to the company. The company measures land and fixed taxes accordingly. But where the survey was incorrect, the tax amount also went wrong, often the too much high. The farmer fell back into debt and many had to sell their land. So now in 1822, Holt Mackenzie introduced the Mahalwari system in North-West province, Punjab and Central India. Here, a mahal, meaning a village of group village, paid taxes correctly. So the responsibility of the collection, the tax was given by the village headman. The revenue was revised every few years, but Faulty measurement and over assessment were big problem in this system too. Much land was left uncultivated and people began migration from village. So affect the British revenue policies friendly. So friends, now where is the permanent settlement, Ryotwari settlement and Mahalwari settlement? All system had no bring in common, high revenue demand. Farmers lost their land and livelihood taped forced labor begari. It means begari, forced labor. Then landless become the common. So the government never helped with irrigation, seeds and tools and all others agriculture growth came to the standstill and famine because the frequent. So now the British following another hidden exploitation policies. They stopped food, crop farming and made farmers grow cash crop like indigo, cotton, afim and jute. So these were meant to the British industries. Farmers were helpless. They were forced by the Zamindars and planters. The result food storage, poor market price, and the miserable life from farmers. Now, indigo, a blue dry plant that was the high demand in Europe. There was two system for its cultivation. The first is niche system where the planters grow indigo on his own land, and the Ryots system where the farmers were forced to sign an agreement. It means satta to grow indigo on a part his land. These agreements were often forced and unfair. Now, what are the problem with indigo? The indigo cultivation brought many problems. It was done on fertile land, which soon became barren. Essential food crops like rice were very affected, and the farmers were paid very little. The result, one lull led to another, a never-ending trap. Now, what are the Indigo Rebellion? In 1859, farmers in Bengal revolt against these oppressive planters. This was the Indigo Rebellion. They refused to grow indigo, attack factories, and even got support from Zamindars. He was a big movement. Women also participated actively. So now the role of the intellectual, the indigo farming was supported by the Bengal farmer and writers. Deenbandhu Mitra wrote a play called Neel Darpan that exposed the cruelty of planters. It was translated into English by Mitchell Madhusudan Dutt and published by the renowned James Long, who was sent to the jail. This rebellion was no longer limited to village. It echoed throughout out Bengal. So now the Champaran movement, even after 1859, the Indigo crisis did not end in Champaran, Bihar, and the same atrocities continued. In 1917, Mahatma Gandhi launched the first movement here, the Champaran Satyagraha. It was Gandhi's first non-violence protest, and it brought great success of the farmers. So now let's compare Punjab and Bengal. In Punjab, the British built a canal which helped to agriculture grow like crop cotton, wheat, and pulses thrived. So in Bengal, the permanent settlement ran farmers live. Famines become frequently in state to helping the British increasing taxes. Now, here are the brainstorming keywords. So, friendly, we are going to see the which system do you think could have worked best if implemented properly? Maybe the Ryotwari because it had no middleman. But if survey were accurate, taxes were fair, and support like irrigation and seeds were provided. Now, let's remember some key terms: Diwani, Ryot, Zamindari, Mahal, Indigo, Begari, and Satta. So here are you come for the region Bengal and Bihar, where the Indigo rebellions has a stronger impact, like a Nadia, Jashori, and Champaran. These maps show where the fire and revolts are the first ignited. So now let's summarize everything. The British exploitation farmer for taxes force them to grow indigo. A revolt broke out standing against it, and Gandhi later led the Champaran Satyagraha. These chapters show how a village labor protest turned into the national movement. So now we have the MCQ questions. Now let's took the some fun questions to test your memories and understand. The first question is, who introduced the permanent settlement? If you know that, give me the answer in comment option. Now the question second, what does Ryot means? And some more questions like that we will discuss next video. So now thank you friends. We hope you understand this chapter well. If you like the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you the next chapter. Until then, keep studying, keep growing.